Yeah, this is late. We've already had an MCU movie and an MCU show and a DC movie come out in between when I started writing this to now. I've just had very little time to work on my YouTube channel, but I'm making it now. I adored Loki, probably more than WandaVision, and that is saying something. I've wanted to talk about it for a while, but not in a full series review like usual. So instead, I'm narrowing my focus to talk about things I loved about this show that seems to have gone under most people's radar. This is in no way a comprehensive list, and there's bound to be things that I've missed, but it's a bit of a quick Hall of Fame. 1. Acknowledgement of Loki's full and complete story. This is actually something that I could say about Endgame, too. It doesn't ignore Loki's backstory. Even with something like The Dark World, which most people agree is the worst MCU movie, the events of that movie are key to the development of Thor in Endgame, and now Loki in episode 1 of this show. They don't shy away from aspects that might have been less popular, but use them to tell a full and complete story, building Loki into the character he is for this show. Number 2, the pacing. Several complaints that can be leveraged at WandaVision and Fatwiss is... yeah, Fatwiss. I'm leaving that in. That's Fatwiss. Is that the pacing really hurt the show overall. While I love the first WandaVision episodes, they were incredibly slow, and the story proper didn't start until like 4 episodes in. A fact that turned many people off to the show, and caused the finale portion to feel rushed. Fatwiss was way too fast. The story barrels forward without much time to pause and think about how the characters are feeling. You know, until the clumsily inserted episode 5 to slow things down. Loki does not have this issue at all. Each episode is in the perfect spot to tell the best version of the story possible, with ample pauses to catch our breath. Granted, Loki does have the advantage that it was the least impacted by the pandemic, but still. Number 3, Ravona Renslayer. Ravona seems to have been brushed aside, thanks to the reveal of the admittedly amazing He Who Remains. But she was a great villain. She is someone who truly believes that what she is doing is right and necessary, which bleeds into her interactions with the other characters. She despises Loki and Sylvie because they literally should not exist and stand against the perfect timeline. She likes Mobius because he fully believes in her mission, until he starts to think for himself, and Ravonna prunes him so he can't distract her. Even after her own crisis of faith, you could say, she still seems to think her path in life is to protect the timeline at all costs. Aside from maybe Caecilius, who also deserves much more recognition, Ravonna is a unique MCU villain in that she is totally devoted to her own morality against a higher ideal. That's a good villain. Number 4, the music. It sounds amazing. Natalie Holt knocked it out of the park with every theme and motif throughout the show. Because of her music, the scene where Loki first views the TVA is one of my top favorite MCU scenes. Classic Loki's theme uses elements of Richard Wagner's Flight of the Valkyries, and if that's not ridiculously cool. Number 5, the characters of Loki. Finally, and I know this is ironic, but I feel that Loki's character was explored in the best way possible thanks to the concept of variance. Not only do we see Loki move from a completely narcissistic loner to someone who cares about his friends and can't be alone by the end of the season, we are constantly shown what Loki has grown beyond thanks to the personalities of the variants. I would say that Sylvie is the Loki most burdened with glorious purpose, and is a mirror to Loki's previous obsession with ruling everything. That's not her motivation, but her laser focus win at any cost really reminds me of that. Classic, boastful, kid, and even President Loki all function as a mirror as well, to a lesser extent. President is Loki at his most evil, Kid at his most cunning, boastful at his most proud, and Classic at his most lonely. They show what Loki was before, and how he is so much more than the sum of his parts by the end. And that's what makes the ending so much more tragic, as the god who believed he would always be alone finally is, and this time he actually cares enough to feel the weight. And so, those are some of the very underrated things that I think this show did very, very well. I would love to hear what you think. And if there are some underappreciated things that I missed, please let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you thought of Loki. And until next time, later.